Hey, there it is. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? You're all sitting there like Brick Tamland. You're not Aaron. You're right. I'm not. I'm Tato. I'm the guest judge for this wonderful match. Um, got a couple notes. Be sure to check out all the great matchups that went up last week. We got Jeremy Adams versus Alan Shepard, as well as Aaron Canole versus John Marr. So those are a couple of great matches. Be sure to check those out. Moving on to today's events. Introducing first, we have Maria Hammon. She's back for her second match. She had a debut against Jeremy Potters. How are we doing, Maria?
I'm just excited to have a second chance because this time I hope I win the money because I really need a new car. And if I could win that grand prize, sky's the limit. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, one day we will be popular enough to offer car money. I'm definitely
Anyway,
looking forward to those days myself. It'll be a beautiful time for all.
just a joke. But I'm happy to be here. I hope I do well. We'll see.
Awesome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll pop her back down and bring in her opponent, Kevin. He is back, looking for a long-awaited second victory. He has improved as a debater, and we shall see how that translates tonight. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, doing fine. I'm hoping at least a successful win because I'm pretty sure I'm 1-9. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm
Oh
not in the
no!
double digits
All
of
right,
losses. Yeah.
240. All right, wait, we lost you for a sec. You're back. Or I don't know. Did everyone else hear him that whole time, or did only I lose him? Okay, I guess you're good. My bad. But hey,
Oh, I wanted 6. So
yes. Alrighty. So yeah, we'll see what happens, how that changes tonight. We'll drop that out. We'll drop you. We'll bring Maria back in. Hey.
Hi, Kevin.
Um,
uh,
and we
Good
will.
luck.
Alrighty. So best of 5 rounds. First player to 3 points wins the match. Or yeah. Best of five, first to three. If one competitor earns the first 3 points in a row, that is a victory by not. And if we have a 2-2 draw at the end of 4 rounds, we go to the tiebreaker round. Thankfully, you've both played before, so I appreciate you getting through this with me.
No worries. We got it.
Alrighty.
you got very good.
So, judges, you've all been here before, so you know what you're doing. Judging based on their arguments, not on what you think in any capacity. Blah blah blah. You guys are good too. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now we will move on to that question. I will state it again. Maria, Kevin was the favorite in this one, having a victory. He chose to go first on questions 2 and 4. Maria, you will be going first. Question 1: which leading actress gave the best performance in the year 1984? Your minute will begin when you start speaking.
In my opinion, the woman who gave the best performance in the year 1984 is Sally Field, who won an Oscar for her performance as Best Actress in Places in the Heart. Places in the Heart is a 1935-ish drama about the Depression, about living in a small town in Texas, about the fact that her husband, the sheriff, is killed, and she has no income. She's never written a check. She doesn't know anything about finance. She doesn't know anything about running a farm, and if she doesn't come up with some money for the farm, it's going to be repossessed, and she's going to have to farm out her kids to different places and to go find a job in a big city, which she's never had a job, so she doesn't know what she's even talking about. It's a character study, and the reason I picked her is she does a great job as a trained actress of over 20 years by that time in selling this character and making the story very compelling and very interesting and very fun to watch. So that's who I picked, and I cede the rest of my time.
Let that clock out here, and Kevin, your time when you begin speaking.
So for my pick for best performance of best performance actress in the year of 1984, I of course went with the truly iconic Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor in the very first Terminator, and I yield my time.
Alrighty, we will hop this forward a bit. Alrighty, Maria, you're 2 minutes when you begin speaking.
Basically, I misstated. It's not a fun movie, but it is an interesting movie, and it is something to watch an actress, a trained actress that knows her stuff, perform and sell that she's this person. Sally Field is a treasure of the American stage and screen. She started her career in 1963 when she became Gidget on television series that was about a young girl that liked to surf and boyfriends in California scene. I actually watched it, so that's how old I am. This movie, she's taken a lot of roles, and she's gotten 2 Oscars. This and for Norma Ray, which is another compelling movie that she's been in. But the thing about this movie that strikes me as great is it's like a character study of what women were like during the Depression and what they didn't know. I mean, she didn't know how to do any of this stuff. She's lucky that she goes to the bank, and the banker, who has a brother-in-law living with him, says he'll extend her loan a little bit if she takes in this brother-in-law as a boarder. And she's never had a boarder. She and her 2 kids have been there their whole lives together without anybody else, and the husband, of course, who died. But she does a good job of the depression that she must feel, the angst about making the money. She has another a handyman come in named Mose, who's played by Danny Glover, and his instinct is to help her farm, but she doesn't want that, and so he tries to steal her silver. But she catches him in the act, and she says, basically, I'm not going to call the sheriff to have you arrested. I need you to help me. We need to run this farm, and there's a competition where if they get the crops in at a certain point in time, she'll win the money that she needs to pay the farm off from the bank. And she presses Danny Glover and the blind boarder that's his brother-in-law, and they all get together. It's a survival and a family created out of desperation to get through the Depression.
Kevin, you're 2 minutes when you begin speaking.
Why I pick Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor is I feel like this was the movie that really defined Linda Hamilton as an actor, and actually I probably introduced her more to the world. She really does an amazing job as Sarah Connor. Probably I consider this one. Wow, Terminator 2 did like figure like more stuff we know, but this one I feel like it's a perfect introduction to her as to get like it's the what led her to become that the tough iconic hero we knew and loved. This she had this really great scene with Kyle Reese about the explanation about what happened in the future, but with the right Skynet, all that, and she really she to make job acting with the fear of being hunted down by the T-800 Arnold Schwarzenegger. She acts the emotion of fear, but then eventually gets really does get hurt when she during the final climax of it able to spread the machine that crushes the Terminator and fully give her the toughness of it that lets her to become the iconic character. And I feel like this movie is her performance is really it was the best of that year. And I yield my time.
All right. Second. Alrighty, your 4 minutes when the first competitor begins speaking.
I'll
Oh,
go first.
oh
Go
no,
ahead. Go ahead. Not
okay,
listen
okay.
to you. Go ahead.
This is gonna be a tough argument for us. I mean, I believe we have two iconic actresses, and truly, I think I think one of the most dynamic roles. This is gonna be a tough one to argue, but I feel like Sally Field, I feel like gives another great performance. I think in the coming years, I feel like with her character in the fighter, but I feel like that's really one of the I did one of the time before, but
Well, I have to argue that a little bit because Sally Field was already an actress of some note before
yeah,
Linda Hamilton was even born. So Linda Hamilton in the first movie is soft and wonderful, and we love her, and I don't have a problem with that. But we're talking about apples and oranges when we talk about these performances because
yeah,
Linda Hamilton is obviously a beginner. Sally
mhm,
Field is obviously a well versed trained actress already. And
yes,
I'm talking about a performance, not necessarily gee she gets physical and gee she has Michael Biehn and gee she has all these things happen that are horrible and she reacts suitably. But I'm talking about someone who can create an actual character that is not herself,
but
that has all the nuances of that time and make you believe it, make you buy it, and see that that family of misfits gets together and actually saves the farm.
but
So I mean,
I feel like
I understand Linda Hamilton. If you pick two, I'd be in worse trouble because she certainly stepped up for that. But she's only had 19 movies her whole life. Sally Fields had more than 40. So I don't know. You're talking apples and oranges to me.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I think this, but this movie, but Terminator did made Linda Hamilton. I feel like I truly
Well,
kind
what has she done lately? I mean, have you seen her lately anywhere? I mean,
of
Sally Field's still acting.
I feel like oh yeah, true.
I just saw her in a football movie with Jane Fonda and some other older ladies, and it was pretty funny. I mean, it was
Oh,
cute.
oh yeah,
There's
I just saw that too with my mother.
Nobody's gonna get an Oscar out of that one. Okay, I'm just saying. But
But
yeah, she's still acting. But Linda Hamilton seemed to disappear. I mean, I don't know what her deal is, but she's not around. I don't know what
I would agree.
her
I
last
mean,
movie.
she was great in as one of as Sarah Connor in Dark Fate. That's but I feel like
Great.
well, yeah,
Let's talk about that for a minute. That movie blows, dude. I don't even know what you're talking about. Great.
it was a return of Sarah Connor. They're like it's been a long
So
time.
what? It's a return of Godzilla every time too, but somebody always gives him some shit, like Mothra or somebody. I mean, come on, that's.
Yeah, but we
I
never
get what you're saying. She's got an iconic character that she's clinging on to, and we're doing it over and over and over, which is great. I don't blame those guys that get the money you can for these roles, but that doesn't make you a great actress. That doesn't make you put it. She has. Linda Hamilton's nominations for awards involve MTV Best Kiss or Best Movie, or Blockbuster. And Sally Fields won 2 Academy Awards, 2 or 3 Emmys. She's been around and she's done a lot. So I don't think you're talking about the same kind of thing. I mean, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree, because I don't
yeah.
see Linda Hamilton anywhere near the tier of, I'm not going to fight you on Terminator being a great movie. It is a great movie. Everybody knows that. But Arnold's that movie. That's not Linda Hamilton's movie. That's Arnold's movie. I mean, that was his real, coming into himself as a villain, and he did great. But Linda Hamilton's kind of like the sidekick. I don't see her as any kind of now Terminator 2. She stepped up for definite, but you don't have that one to argue. You picked the wrong decade. So that's all I got to say.
Uh, yeah, pretty much that.
Sorry, I can't see it.
And time. Alrighty. Maria, we will move on to you for your closing minute.
Okay, I've said I think pretty much everything I need to say about it. I agree that Linda Hamilton fell into a great role. She did her part. She looks young and and she does great in Terminator 1, but it isn't the performance of a lifetime or that year. I mean, when you take someone who wins the Academy Award for her performance, and that's voted on by everybody in the Academy and all her peers and everything else, and Linda Hamilton gets MTV Best Kiss. I think we're talking a 2 different kind of performances. I'm not saying Terminator isn't great. I love Terminator. I love Arnold, but I think it's Arnold's movie. I would argue that till the cows come home. The next one, not so much. Arnold changes, and of course we all know that, and Linda does step it up there. But as far as 1984's Best Actress performance, it is Sally Field, who can turn into somebody else just as easily as she can do anything else, and she's still going strong, over 40 movies, and she still has a career going on. Linda Hamilton, I don't know, maybe she's making cookies somewhere.
And time. Kevin, your minute.
Well, Linda Hamilton, I think really this was she really did make the best here. But like of course, like it's Sally Field, it's a really talented actress, and of course she did win 2 Academy Awards. But at times the Academy Award can be wrong. So I mean, we've seen it several times, and well, yes, of course it did. Like was Arnold? It kind of was Arnold Smith. That because he was a villain. We see introduced him, and also it built Arnold. But sure, but Lynn Adams, I think, was the main character, and it actually kind of proved what led her to really become. And I feel like she really gave a really great best performance of the 1984. And I yield my time.
Alrighty, I will let that one play out. I will bring myself back in here. I will give that a pause. All right, thank you, debaters. I'm going to drop y'all back. I am thankfully not alone in this situation. That would be terrible. I am joined by 3 wonderful judges. Jay, Frenchie, Nick. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. As concisely as possible, give me your choices and what did it for you. Jay, what you got?
I'm going to go with Maria on this one. She talked about her movie. She talked about the performance in the movie, not just how it led to a character being iconic. You can't just jump on the fact that like Linda Hamilton is known after this. I think Maria had actually brought it up really well. She's more known for playing Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 than anything she did in the first one. So just based on the argument and the question itself, I have to go with Maria on this one.
Alrighty, Frenchie, what you got here?
All right, I'll read you my notes because I've been writing notes at the same time because that's what I do. Like the movie of Place in the Heart, never heard of it, right? So it was kind of hard for me to understand, but she did set up a good explanation of the movie itself for me to understand what Sally Field had to work with. But I found in the first part, she spent a bit too much time explaining the movie and not the performance, which is the question. So I still wasn't sure. And with Kevin, he had good explanations, especially when it goes in sub layers of the meanings behind the performances. But it was hard to follow. There wasn't like a complete argument I found. Where for me, Maria Schoen was the counter argument. She jumped right back when there was the part they had the debate. She took over, and even though I didn't necessarily agree with her, she still convinced me a lot more in the second part. Or the other part of the segment. So for me, the winner is Maria.
Alrighty, we will drop Maria. Will get that point. We will drop the judges to the back here, and I will show that there. Oops, I have to edit it first. Hey, Tigger. Save. Show. Boom. Bring our competitors back in here. Congratulations on that one. We will go on over to the next question. Skull and banners. Alrighty. Your second question, we will have Kevin going first this time. What is the worst comic book movie of the 2000s? Kevin, your minute when you begin speaking.
So for the worst comic book movies of the 2000s, it was very hard to decide because there were a few ones, but I had to go with a really, really bad one. And I, of course, went with Son of the Mask. And before you ask the people that don't know, yes, it's based. Son of the Mask it's a sequel to The Mask with Jim Carrey, which was based off a Dark Horse comic, which this movie was really, the sequel is really, really horrible, and I yield my time.
Alrighty then. We'll let this 20 click out here. Or actually, I can click ahead there. Sorry. I'm new. We're getting better. It's okay. And my computer's not cooperating with all of my clicks either, which is not helping the process. So we are just going to let this 7 seconds tick.
Don't worry, it might get edited out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Aaron's good at that. Alrighty, Maria, your minute when you begin.
I have picked for my worst comic book movie of the 2000s Edward Norton's turn as the Incredible Hulk. This is a movie, 2003. It was contentious. Norton fought the writers every step of the way. In fact, they let him go ahead and write it because he was, there was no other choice. I don't think it's a good movie. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun. I don't have to have fun all the time. But the Hulk is kind of a, I've always had a soft spot for the Hulk. I mean, I grew up watching the Bill Bixby TV series and watching him, every week there was angst and tragedy because he couldn't be with anybody and he couldn't do anything and he had to roam like a nomad all over the, world. And it was interesting to see that Ed wanted to take it a different place in a way, but he also didn't want to, and he wanted to make it a cerebral event instead of more like a comic book movie. And so I don't enjoy it, and I think it's the worst one of the 2000s.
And time. Alrighty. Son of the Mask versus the Incredible Hulk. We will move on to Kevin's 2 minutes when you begin speaking, sir.
Hey, why I picked Son of the Mask is pretty much there is so much wrong with this movie. Where to get started with, because it fails to follow up the original Son of the Mask. I mean, The Mask with Jim Carrey, and while of course you can't copy Jim Carrey, you can even do stuff. You can at least have a personality. Jamie Kennedy is the other thing. I know he can act. I mean, he's really good at the screen movies. And wow, I hate Paul Sermon's William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, but he still gives a performance in that one. But this one, he just so bland. And here's the thing: this is a children's movie. The effects of the children's movie, it's quite more disturbing than cute and whimsical and funny. It's the comedy's crash. Bob Hoskins is really wasted, along with I forgot the name, but Loki is really thinking him manager. I know he's working with what he has, but no, and also it does this weird extreme close up of at times, and it's so horrible. And then it tries to be like a cartoon homage to like when they have the baby and the dog. Try to pull classic Tex Avery humor. It feels as that. It feels more like the classic world Tex Avery instead of Tex Avery himself. And I yield my time.
Alrighty, Maria, we'll go to you when you begin speaking.
So let's talk about The Incredible Hulk, the 2003 version. The Hulk is hard to write a story for, apparently, because nobody wants to do it and nobody's continuing to do it. But you've got to write a story about poor mild-mannered Dr. Bruce Banner, who was stupid enough to get involved in radioactive material, and then the rampaging crazy Hulk, who's willing to do anything once he's in that transformation. I couldn't think of a word to say for that. And he's can't be reasoned with. And now we in the MCU, don't even get me started on Scarlett Johansson and her. It's getting awful low. The sun's getting awful low. Okay, yeah, she's got a thing to get him calmed down, whatever. But in this movie, basically, he's wanting to find, Edward Norton wants to take him to Brazil and have Dr. Banner try to find a cure for his problem. And he is working on that for quite a while. He also admits in one of the sequences that he actually likes it when he turns into the Hulk. He feels, it's fun for him. Now, from then on, we only see people playing the Hulk that are afraid of the Hulk, that don't want him to be, out there rampaging around. But I don't understand why it had to be more of a. There's not enough action in the movie. First of all, I know that he takes on Tim Roth's character. I'm trying to think of the name of him. I can't find it right now in my mind. I know who I'm talking about, but he turns into the Abomination or whatever it's called. Yeah, Abomination. I think that's right. And so he takes him on. Great, okay, but there's not enough of that. I mean, I don't need to hear Edward Norton talk to Liv Tyler about how he doesn't want to get an erection or go, have sex because he's afraid of, what'll happen. I would be too, actually. But, and William Hurt, as Dr., or as General Ross, he wants to build a whole army of Hulks, so he wants to get him for that reason. And I just think it's a silly movie. I don't think it's good. That's my opinion.
Alrighty, end time on that one, and we will begin the 4 minutes when whatever competitor begins speaking.
I'll let you have the first blow there.
Actually, you go first. I went first last time.
Oh, okay. Basically, yeah, Son of the Mask, are you kidding me right now? I mean, even, it was goofy. It was stupid. Even Jim Carrey didn't want to do it, but he didn't want to do it just because he didn't like it. He's tired of doing sequels. He did Ace Ventura 2 and said, forget it. I'm not going to do a 2 Mask. And, Jamie Kennedy sucks. Let's face that. He's not even, is he even an actor? I mean, I'm not sure. He got a role in there, but I don't see that. But
with the Incredible Hulk, here's the thing. I really like the Incredible Hulk. I feel like this was one of the.
You like that particular movie, though, huh?
Yeah. Yes. Because I love watching the movie. Visually impressive. I feel like it really does a great job with the Incredible Hulk and Bruce Banner's relationship, and also I feel like it's the start of it because in one of the scenes, in fact, there was an original opening scene where explains the fact in the Avengers they do explain Mark Ruffalo to explain that he went to the Arctic, he had a gun, he tried to shoot himself, put it in his mouth, shoot himself, but the Hulk spit it out. That was the original scene, and they use that. He explained
but
that.
It didn't go with the original movie, though, right? I mean, it would have been cut. Is that what you're saying?
No, but it's an extended version of the Incredible Hulk.
See, that's bullshit because you're talking about something that was shown in the movies. How are we supposed to know that? I don't like that add on later because we have to explain this movie because it sucks so bad. That's exactly why they do that.
But also, the reason why you see kind of don't see much of Hulk because they explained while Bruce was still in Brazil, he was like went to like a yoga expert telling him how to control his heartbeat, how to control his breath. Like you see
whatever. It takes forever. It's excruciating. I want some action. I want to see Hulk smashing shit. I want to see like an Iron Man, not an Iron Man, but when the Avenger movie when Iron Man takes him on, it's ridiculous. I don't want to see Bruce Banner have cerebral moments and he doesn't know. He decides he doesn't remember anything that happens when he's the Hulk. Well, who didn't know that already?
It's
I mean.
Then a woman I get and some of the masks were.
Well, you got a bad movie there, that's for sure. But I mean, it's not as bad as this one because this one, it brought us all in. It brought us all in and had disappointments. I've never seen such a depressed audience until I saw Batman v Superman, and no one talked out of that audience. We were we left with our heads hung, like, what the had just happened here? That's not the same. Not the same at all.
But it's better. But then we better than in Son of the Mask where Jamie Kennedy. He has a chance to die for the big. Look,
that isn't even worth talking about. It's so stupid.
It's really an extended amount piecing, which is so crass. And
but what was the expectation for Son of the Mask? There was no expectation because we all knew it was going to be crap. Right? There was tons of expectation for the Ang Lee. Give me a break. We wanted it to be wonderful, and it ended up being the biggest disappointment in the comic book movies up to date.
There's way more disappointment than that. But
no.
Thing, it's like Edward Norton is really talented part, and
what kind of egomaniac thinks he can write his own movie? He gets in there, doesn't like it. I'm not going to do those. I'm going to do my own writing. Yeah, and they let him.
That's because he had trouble with the people of Marvel, not Kevin Feige.
Wonder why he has a problem with the people at Marvel. Everybody has a problem working with Edward Norton. It's a well-known, established fact. He's one of those people that is a pain in the ass. And so why they let him go ahead, I don't know. I think the movie could have been, could have been better had he not been the writer. I just don't think the movie's good. I think the movie doesn't do Hulk justice. And he's a fighter, he's a scrapper, and I want to see that. I don't want to see him. Oh gosh, I think let's get to Brazil and I'll hide here for the rest of my life. Screw that stuff.
They're looking more precision than Jim can Son of the Mask. I mean, they try to do a Cuban Pete with
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
And time. Alrighty. Excuse me. Kevin, your final minute when you begin.
But it's so. But
he's so upset.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
It's an awful movie. It's really terrible. I mean, like, there was so much wrong with Son of the Mask. Basically, for creepily disturbing, it's like, oh, and let's just say this is I think the first one where my comic book movie has a single, a one-digit review. It's in the 4s. It's that horrible. It's so horrible. Even when I think one of the critics, like famous critic Richard Roper, said, "I almost walked out of the movie. It's that bad. It is so awful." And I'm pretty sure, and I yield my time.
Alrighty. Yep, what I should have done was nothing. Hey, Maria, your time when you begin speaking.
Okay. I don't want this to be misunderstood. I think Son of the Mask is a terrible movie. But when we're talking terrible movies, there's no expectation for Son of the Mask to have been good in the first place. We didn't go in there going, oh gosh, it's going to be great. Because we know that when they change the main character and they put it on, on the back burner and they have all these secondary characters and they're not, the top list actors, this is going to suck. In The Incredible Hulk, we had a proven, well-known director. We had actors that were top tier. Edward Norton, I don't know how he's top tier, but he still is. I know, he Fight Club, so forth. I get it. Still don't like him. And then you have, expectations. We're expecting this to blow us away. And not only does it not blow us away, it makes us go, are you kidding me right now? Why are we spending so much time trying to explore the Mr. Hyde part of the crazy Hulk instead of getting on this bandwagon, Dr. Jekyll, let's go crazy, dude. I want to see Hulk behaving like Hulk. I don't want to see Hulk, looking at his navel, looking for, life's mysteries to be solved.
And I know that. Don't be fooled by the lying machine there. Okay. Alrighty, we will take you away. We will put. I hit the wrong button. I'm not very clever all the time. All right, we're gonna bring our judges back in here. Alrighty. We will go to Frenchie first this time.
All right. Well, I have to agree with Kevin that personally, I do find Son of the Mask is a lot worse than the Hulk. The Incredible Hulk, I actually really enjoyed because of the cerebral. But I have to say, Maria did good arguments, especially in the opening. She really started with the heavy parts, which is the drama behind the performances, the actor props, and everything. That was really a solid one. Just because I enjoyed the movie does not mean she didn't argue better. Like for me, Kevin, especially at the opening, he did a good argument. He stated a bit, it was horrible, but didn't give a good argument. He just yielded his time. I do find though Kevin did a lot better job in the argument part. He really stand his own, and he did points that I would have said as well. But overall, I found Maria gave more of a better argument overall, even though I don't agree with her.
Alrighty, that is a vote for Maria. We will go to Nicholas. What you got?
Yeah, so this was tough. Very much just echoing the kind of same sentiment. I think I did enjoy the Hulk, but Maria's argument about what's the expectation. Like it's worse to be disappointed for something that you have high expectations for versus Son of the Mask, which didn't have that high of expectations, especially since it's a decades later sequel with a different actor. So yeah, that's why I went with Maria on this one.
Alrighty, and with that, we will say goodbye to the judges. We will. Whoop, I'm not good at clicking buttons. We will bring back les competitors, and oops, see, I told you I was bad at clicking buttons. I forgot to click enter on the one. I forgot to click save on that one. Hey, show. Alrighty, we're going to move on to question number 3. Y'all doing great so far. These have been pretty good debates, I will say, even as I predicted. Moving on to a question number 3, we have a fan-submitted question. Fan question. This one comes to us from Mr. Brian Nussbaum. What is Rick Moranis' best film? We are back on Maria for the opening. Your time when you begin speaking.
Well, Rick Moranis, don't we all love him? We've loved him for years. He's been in other things, comedies, Saturday Night Live, Little Shop of Horrors, and so forth. I picked, however, Ghostbusters. His performance in that movie is not only one of the funniest, and I still get a smile and a laugh out of thinking about it. Is his earnestness, the way he speaks. He wants to. He has his own business. He does the accounting for all these different people, and he has them over for a party. He runs into the dogs of Zool or whatever. I don't know if they're dogs or gods or whatever they're supposed to be, but they look like dogs to me, so that's what I'm going to use. And he does a great job of conveying not only the naivety and the stupidity of his character as a regular human being, and how he thinks he wants to date Sigourney Weaver, which is, are you kidding me right now? Talk about shooting high. But he does a great job of selling that, and also when he turns into the the key master, I believe it is. It's good. He's good in this.
And Brian, or excuse me, Kevin. Sorry, it's Brian's question. You get me, Kevin. When you begin speaking, please.
So for the best Victor Moranis film, I feel like I picked. I think one that I think the best uses him, and I of course have to go with Mel Brooks' Spaceballs. He is truly amazing in that movie. As a villain, he really a good chunk of the lines. In fact, and clips I do love watching are his, especially the memorable one of them watching the actual Spaceball videos. And he's like, where is this? This is Zen. Okay, so where to go? I want to go. It's the future. Okay, future. Okay. It rewinds, and he's like, we're now. Okay, you are watching now. Wait, what happened then? That happened then. This is now. Wait, what happened with the future? It is true to his best role, and I feel is one of his best.
And now is time. Time is now. When is time? Alrighty. Moving on to Maria for your 2 minutes.
There's no doubt that Spaceballs is funny. When we talk about a Mel Brooks movie, though, we're talking about controversy. We're talking about, some people don't want to watch it. They don't like Mel Brooks. Some people are annoyed. Joan Rivers was the voice of the robot that is the princess's companion, and they found her annoying. I mean, there's lots of reviews where she's kind of taking the edge off the movie. It's funny. There's no doubt about it. I agree that it's funny. And I do like Darth Helmet, and I do like all the, playing with the figures and whatnot. It's a good movie, but it's not as good as Ghostbusters. There isn't a kid alive today that doesn't know what Ghostbusters means, what it meant to, what it entails, even if they've been, just 5 years old and the movie came out way back when, they still know what a Ghostbuster is. It's an iconic movie. It's never going to go away. I mean, the box office is completely different, apples and oranges for these two movies. I think Rick Moranis does well in Spaceballs, but it's not the one that got seen. Ghostbusters is the one that got seen, and I think that's the best performance of his, where he was able to incorporate himself into a being that is kind of a goofball, and then he turns out to be, pretty smart, sorta, in his own way, and he's funny. He's definitely got that crazy character down, and he turns into and another being. And at the end, he's still funny because he comes out and said, we scan your brain, and he goes, "Oh, okay?" It's very good, good performance. But and I agree, Spaceballs would rival it. But if we're talking longevity, if we're talking about people that remember things, I know a lot of people that never even seen Spaceballs, never even heard of it, and I know a lot of people that don't like Mel Brooks who won't watch it. I mean, that wouldn't be me. I like Mel Brooks, but I know that Ghostbusters has traversed the time and still is popular and known. Spaceballs not so much. I think Ghostbusters win.
And Kevin, your 2 minutes when you begin speaking.
Here we go. Where I think it was, but this question is best Rick Moranis movie, and I feel like this movie, Spaceballs, really is a Rick Moranis movie. Ghost, and I feel like this, like, and what is considered a Rick Moranis movie? I feel like Rick Moranis is it's in the movie, but he's has a bigger feature in it. Spaceball is I think wouldn't be a really big hit without Rick Moranis as I forget his name again. As a villain, as a titular character, but and that's why I picked him. Picked this movie. It's really more of what like how he plays it and how he's interact with people, with John Candy, Bill Pullman, especially Mel Brooks himself. The villain. And I feel like there's more quotes with him in this one than Ghostbusters because he's in it and he's still good in it, but I feel like there's not much of him, and this is best Rick Moranis movie, and I feel like Spaceballs is a Rick Moranis movie. I yield my time.
Alrighty. Okay, I believe in myself. Watch this. I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna actually skip ahead. Hey, we got there. Let's go. And with that said, the 4 minutes whenever a competitor begins speaking.
I just go ahead. I'll let you.
Here's the thing. Like Ghostbusters, it's really good, and we're not about Ghostbusters or Spaceballs. We all know Ghostbusters is really an amazing movie, and of course, it was very quotable. But I do not consider that a Rick Moranis movie. I consider that more like a Bill Murray.
Well, they're different. I mean, you're looking at a movie that still is in popularity today. Still is I mean, it's doing sequels even all these years later. That movie made 204 million globally.
Yeah, but
your movie made 38 million globally. Well,
yes. Well, here's the thing.
So how many people saw it? How many people think it's the greatest performance of his?
Still has been following that.
He didn't get another movie of that stature until he did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and that was 222 million. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm telling you, this movie is nice, and I love it, but it's not his best performance, and it's not the one that drew anybody in. It isn't word of mouth, let's go see it. 38 million and 222 million. I get you with the Ghostbusters cast is, stellar, and it drew the people in. But Rick is part of that, and there was a sequel.
His movie to begin with, and he gave a good role. But
well, I can still argue then that the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was his movie, and 222 million there, 38 million for Spaceballs. Yeah, you're not going to get me to think that's the greatest performance he's ever given.
You think an audience does not define what's best of the movie.
An audience that shows up and goes to see it is what you're doing it for. It isn't because some critics love it. That's not what we're talking about here.
They think the Transformers movies are the best movies of Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox's careers. Are the best?
I wouldn't say that. I would say they're the best grossing.
Better movie. I mean, Megan Fox was a better.
I'm looking at how many people have seen it. I'm not looking at I made this esoteric movie back in 1900 and it's had 10 people come and see it, but that's my best performance. Baloney. You got to get butts in the seats. They got to see the movie to think that it's good or bad. Either you can't do that without people, and you can't do it when you're talking such a disparity of how many people saw Ghostbusters as opposed to your movie, it's a lot, and it's
Yeah,
still
and
popular, and still talking about
yeah,
it.
they both are. They both talk about this movie,
You're
but
not going to convince me Spaceballs still gets a lot of trade. I
yeah,
don't think it does.
look, it
I
does.
like it.
I
It's
mean,
a niche audience. I'm telling you, Mel Brooks is not as popular as you think.
which
I guarantee it.
is I mean, like, come on. I mean, we had History of the World Part Two just released on Hulu, and people watched it still.
And it
It's
doesn't get as much money as all these other things do, which means there's less people see it. I don't
well,
care
yeah,
what you say. I love Mel Brooks. I'm not the one. I'm not going to fight you on how great Mel Brooks is. I'm just going by how many people have seen the movies. And if
yeah,
it's a best performance, you're going to get more people seeing it than you are when it's not. And yes,
but
of
the thing,
course, Ghostbusters had other people.
no one brings up Rick Moranis' parts in Ghostbusters. They might bring up
Oh, baloney! Everybody does. He did a great job with that. What are you trying to tell me here?
no, it's
He's not known for
if
that
I
kind of
good,
character.
but nobody quotes
Oh,
his.
please. Turning
They
into the
quote
dog and everything else. Give me a break. No. And the fact that him and Sigourney probably had sex as dogs.
his.
It was pretty funny when they were looking at each other like, I don't know. I think maybe,
No,
it's
but
ridiculous. It's
but
ridiculous. It's so
people like,
funny.
or
It's his,
at him playing with dolls, or then giving the people the
it's a
signal,
parody. It's
or
funny. We
yeah,
get it. It's not supposed to
yeah,
be any deep,
but it's still but
performance, and it's not.
it
I like
is
it, but it's not the best performance they ever give. I'm
it
sorry. I'm gonna go with
because
Ghostbusters every
it
time. The
no
only one I wouldn't gotten with besides that would be Little Shop of Horrors. Now
what do
you
you
might
think
have had something there, but you didn't
what,
pick that one. You
what do
picked
you think
this one.
if it wasn't for that it would not
And
leave out of
time on that one. Little fire there. I'd like to see go on to
I'm just a
Maria
little
for her
country girl.
closing minute when you begin.
I equate success with money, as most people do. Now we get it that Spaceballs. I love Spaceballs. I just watched it the other day with my grandkids. They wanted to see it because I'd been talking about it. Great. I love Mel Brooks. But not everybody loves Mel Brooks. Not everybody likes that comedy that he has, that edge that he puts in there, that he always goes a little one way or the other sometimes. Like, look, Blazing Saddles, for example. That's an iffy. If you watch that today, you'll cringe. But it's okay. It's still funny. Calm down. I'm not bringing that into this. I'm saying that the difference between Spaceballs performance and Ghostbusters performance is night and day. Yes, they came to see Ghostbusters because of all the other stuff, but that's what you want. You're going to get your success and your visibility to a wider audience in a movie that people want to see, that people go pay money for. 222 million and 38 million? Give me a break. That is huge numbers. That is lots of people that didn't see Spaceballs. Lots. We're talking about what? Another 170 million? Give me a
And
break.
time. And your minute when you begin speaking.
but we are here to talk about what is the best no what is the best movie and I think Spaceball is the best because like it uses him well and it features him more and he acts with everyone else I think throughout the movie. Yeah, he acts react with he acts with no with acts with Director Mel Brooks with Bill Pullman, John Candy, Joe Rivers. You get the princess character. He acts with him very well. It's really was the best and what yes, well honest meaning on seeing Ghostbusters, but if we're not here talking about the audience part, I mean, like, sure, I love Ghostbusters, I love it a bit, but it still was not his best. Spaceballs was his.
And time. Alrighty, we have a good one there. Let's see if I can push all the right buttons consecutively this time. Remove the players, bring in the judges. Hit that button to make us all big and shiny. And on this occasion, we will begin with Nicholas. What is your opinion?
So yeah, this was a tough one. They definitely brought the fire for this argument. I think that I ultimately decided to go with Maria on this one. Her argument about it, Ghostbusters having more longevity than Spaceballs. and that Spaceballs is more of like an underground cult kind of film, does hold a lot more water. So, and I don't think that anything Kevin said was really able to counteract that. And Maria also did sell me on like the importance of Rick Moranis when it comes to the plot of that movie. So,
alrighty, Jay, you got anything to say, bud?
Oh, I have so many.
I had a feeling.
So many things to say, guys. I appreciated. This is the fire that I wanted from this entire stream so far. This is the best round that we have had so far, and I appreciate it. Real quick, Maria brought up the fact that like Rick Moranis has naivete in Ghostbusters. She said that it had longer legs. There were certain ways that you can get around that. But what really struck me was the fact that Kevin kept bringing up, and it's an important fact here, that Ghostbusters isn't a good movie because of Rick Moranis' character in it. Ghostbusters is elevated because of everybody, whereas Rick Moranis is what makes Spaceballs. And with that, for that reason right there, because it's what is his best film, not what is his best piece in an ensemble, I'm going to go with Kevin on this one. It's a very important distinction that I don't think a lot of people make, and he made it, and he stuck to it even when it was attacked. I'm going with Kevin on this one.
Alrighty, we'll go to the third judge this time around. Frenchie, what you got?
Let me break this tie. All right, so for me, again, Maria, as always, did a very good explanation in the opening round, really explaining, like Nick said, a bit of the character, right? And for me, Kevin, again, very confusing explanation. It didn't feel complete. But when it came to the argument, I'll be honest, for me, Maria's arguments were way weaker. Even I found went way off track from the question. Whereas Kevin really did, for me, my point was this is a Rick Moranis movie. And that's what I kept saying to myself because I agree by base with Kevin. But when he said it, I'm like, okay, he understands it. So because of the lack of good argumentation from Maria and Kevin's point on that, for me, the point goes to Kevin.
Alrighty. Thank you, judges. That point will go to Kevin. The doors.
You stretch for a bit.
Yeah, stretch it out. It's okay. I got things to click, buttons to push. And then we will move on to question 4, which comes to us in the realm of, I'm sure there's some supernatural horror movie coming out sometime near the time this comes out. There's your tie-in. What is the best supernatural horror franchise of all time? We will go to Kevin to start this one off, and we will go on your whenever you would like to begin speaking.
So, what's the best supernatural horror franchise of all time? And I, of course, have to go with the Evil Dead franchise. It's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Yeah, five films, and both of them are wow. It's good. Bar Dark is the only thing, but it still follows all through with the whole of the Necronomicon. It does so many amazing and including it created its own fantastic film style with this series, and it even it kind of elevates itself from a cult series to a full-blown beloved franchise. And I yield my time.
Alrighty, with that, Maria, your minute when you begin speaking.
I chose for the best supernatural horror franchise of all time. I picked The Conjuring. Those movies, I don't like horror. I don't watch horror on purpose because I don't like being scared. I don't like jump scares. I don't like any of that crap. But I have watched these. Uh, they were based on true story to begin with. The story of the Amityville Horror, which was a house that was haunted, and they needed help from these two, people that claimed to be paranormal investigators or whatever. And it's turned into almost like something fun. And I do always get scared at one point or another. There's always a jump scare, or two, or three, or 17 in these movies. I think that they are appealing. You've got Bia. Vera, I don't know how to say her last name. Famiga, is that how it goes? And Patrick Wilson are the main characters, and they're personable. They're engaging. They're charismatic. I think they do a good job of selling themselves as these two investigators. And I think that's
And
why it's still
time.
going on. Still going on. Pardon me.
And Kev, your 2 minutes when you begin speaking.
Why with the Evil franchise? It's because it takes while it's pretty much the horror from the cabin. It uses it really well, and it does these phenomenal uh, horror moments. It's quite disturbing moments, especially with when it comes to body horror, where it would take, especially with how it's well done with its small budget, and how frightening it still can be from the original to the new one, the Evil Dead Rise, and the Freddy Alvarez remake. It truly led to the introduction of Sam Raimi and the leading star Bruce Campbell, who to this day are quite very a great, amazing duo of director and actor, and also that led to a truly creation from Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead Army of Darkness, and also even kind of actually led to the cult classic TV series Ash vs. Evil Dead. It created amazing moments. Quote, how many times do we often quote out, say the word sometimes groovy, or when we quote Army of Darkness with shop smart, shop is smart, or when you want to when we act up, you think come get. So this is truly what I think one of the best horror.
And time. And apologies for any banner-based confusion. I forgot to drop The Conjuring there. Kevin is, of course, referring to the Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
With that, Maria, your 2 minutes when you begin speaking.
The Conjuring, like I said, is the first one was based on the Amityville Horror, which was a house that people bought in New York that they claimed had ghosts, and two people came and investigated and made a good movie. And I don't know if that's true or not. I do believe in ghosts because I think I've felt a couple of them in my old farmhousey thing that I live in. But I think it's better than Evil Dead. Again, is that we're not talking apples and oranges here. We're talking about a franchise that's raised 2 billion, as opposed to a franchise that's raised about 100 million in all movies added together. Now, I like Bruce Campbell and I like Evil Dead, and I thought the new one was pretty funny in its own way. It's a cult type thing. It's again the lower, less expected movie. You're not gonna. Well, I don't know. Maybe you do this. Maybe you all plan to go to see it. But The Conjuring is just good old fashioned crazy fun in its own way. I don't like horror movies, like I said. I don't like jump scares particularly, but man, oh man, they get me every time. That nun was nuts. The doll Annabelle, give me a break. I thought I'd never. I have. I have dolls in a cabinet that I moved based off that movie because I was like, I'm not gonna go there with these dolls. I think that, like I say, Patrick Wilson's great. Bear Formiga, I guess I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you know who I mean. She's great. They're both good at it. They've even had James Wan direct one, The Conjuring 2. It's just, it's fun. I think it's a good franchise. I think that they've made a lot of money, and I think they're still going. And I think that's what the goal is. You want a successful franchise, it's got to make money to continue. But The Evil Dead has its own place, and that's great. But it doesn't have a good its place as The Conjuring does in the world itself, and how many people have seen it. And I yield the rest of my time as well.
All right, we'll let that 5 seconds click off organically before moving on to the 4-minute round when one of you begins speaking.
Okay, you actually got the name right. It's Vera Farmiga.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But I feel like there is a problem with the Conjuring universe because, like, while it is kind of a big franchise of its own, which includes several spin-offs, including a 4th spin-off with the Curse of La Llorona, which
Well,
this really is horrible.
is it really a spin-off? I mean, they're kind of all together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the nun, which was the spin-off of the Conjuring, they brought the
I know. The story takes it wherever it goes. I mean, there's 8 of them.
and
How many Evil Dead are there? 5?
5 and 1 TV series.
Give or take? Yeah.
Yes.
Sam Raimi's a good guy. He loves Bruce Campbell. They're good buddies. I get that.
Yes.
Bruce Campbell's come to my town and talked in our theater when he went. Where was both? We all went to see him. But apples and oranges.
It's more divided with Edward Warren's storyline, and while the first
Evil Dead is fantastical. I mean, my series, you could actually. There could be ghosts. There could be. We don't know. And it could actually be happening. So, I mean, yours is kind of like, give me a break. Screw it. Come on. It's fun, but it's not too real.
Was for like more like a court procedure, which was done better by Scott Derrickson, and it's the exorcism of Emily Rose, which
I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. I'm just thinking to myself that I'm not scared of the Evil Dead movies. I think it's just a fantasy. I mean, the little creatures that they create, and come on.
But it's more creative with the.
I'll tell you what. If you ever watch one of these Conjuring movies and you're in the dark by yourself, you're gonna freak out because there's gonna be a jump scare. It's gonna take you right out of your pants. There, I'm telling you, it doesn't happen with the Evil Dead movies. They're fun. I agree that they're fun, but they're not the greatest movie franchise ever.
But
horror.
They're creative with.
I'm sure there's other ones. I picked the Conjuring because I like them, but I mean, there's other horror franchises that are much better than Evil Dead. I think it's a good franchise. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it isn't something that a lot of people, think that, the greatest horror movies. The Conjuring, though, you can usually get some reaction to Annabelle and or The Nun. I mean, that Nun was crazy crap.
Really, so because I think.
Oh, come on! Did you see that thing? That thing didn't scare the shit out of you.
No,
it scared the shit out of me.
That's for nuns.
Oh, please! Nuns are always mystically,
It's scary. And
they are scary. They're scary when they're in their schoolroom.
We'll give Kevin a minute to complete a thought on this one.
Okay.
But with the Evil Dead franchise, it's more great around. Like it's because they're trapped at one location, excluding Army of Darkness, which is more of a medieval comedy fantasy, which they went all out creative, but they still kept the horror with that one. But this one is. In 3 of the films, they're trapped in a cabin, and a lot of crazy stuff happens. It's with them, one of them being possessed, especially with the Freddy Alvarez reboot remake-ish. It's more creation with more of the possession. With every single time it kills someone, it possesses that now, and it goes far creative with that. And then with the new one, Rise of the Dead, which I'm not going to mention much because it's soon to be out digitally-ish, and it's a perfect atmosphere with shutting you somewhere different and an abandoned, like soon to be abandoned apartment, and it uses the whole design of it being frightening, and I really it's more creative with that one when say the Conjuring, with specifically would say like Conjuring 3, Annabelle, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona.
That just shows creativity, dude. That's just creativity.
Yes,
can't be mad at that.
Find those the films they would did instead of The Conjuring, which people
and time
1 and 2.
That ended up being a good one. Good fight there. And we will move on to your final minute when you begin speaking, Kevin.
In closing, the Evil Dead franchise is actually are the best supernatural films because like it really does force you see for supernatural white horror franchise, it actually keeps itself through and through. but not just that, it also helps elevate it elevates itself throughout the coming sequels, and the Armored and Ash with the TV series. It fully on occasionally continues on. In fact, with both the remake and the new Rising with it does follow up itself. Conjuring, while yes, the first two films are quite notable, but also it goes on a mind of its own with the spin-offs and with Annabelle and the two sequels from that, The Nun, and the coming sequels for that.
And time.
But on now.
And Maria, to close us out on this one when you begin speaking.
Okay, we're talking about 8 movies. Your complaint is that they're creative, that they go a different way, that they do things differently, that they have other spin-off franchises. That sounds like success to me. That sounds like a Hollywood miracle, where you can get a bunch of people that want to see these movies, that like the differences in the plots, that like them to go off on their own way. The La Verona, or not Verona, I'm not. I think it's La Llorona or something like that. I'm saying it wrong. I know that. It's a good movie. And if it's going to have spin-offs, great. And if Annabelle has spin-offs, great. I'm not going to go see another one of those ever. That's just me. And the same with the Nun. If she wants to have 100 movies, great. This is what we want. And the answer was a successful, of all time, Hollywood horror franchise, supernatural horror franchise. Yeah, that's what that is. That's called success. Lots of money, 2.5 billion or 2.1 billion against, about 100 million. That's successful. I think that my series is much better than the Evil Dead.
All righty. Good one there. We'll do that. And we'll bring the judges back for another wonderful round of discussion on another wonderful round of Shoopadoop debate. We will cycle this back to how we began, and Jay, you will get the opening remarks.
I still think that we are equating best with successful, and that's not necessarily what the question is. Being a successful franchise does not make you a great franchise. I'm looking at you, Star Wars prequels. Okay, I got that out of the way. I really like what Kevin did here. He kept it simple, because a lot of those movies are simple. There were certain things that I really would have liked him to say, just purely based on the fact that Maria's like, oh, your movie's barely made $100 million. Kev, you could have, I'm sorry, I'm jumping the ship right now. You could have countered that Evil Dead Rise made $150 million on its own, and that would have been a knockout for me. Unfortunately, because that didn't happen, I hear a lot of creativity, but I never got any actual examples of what that creativity was from the Conjuring franchise. From Maria, I got the explanation of what the first one was. I got a breakdown of like who Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga were. I got a little bit more from Kevin. This is the one that I'm actually the most split on as of right now. I'm gonna go. I'm sorry, guys. I'm re-looking over my notes. I'm going to give this one slightly, even though I don't like the argument, I'm going to give this one slightly to Maria.
All right. Always good to look over notes. And I don't vamp like Aaron does, so forgive me for not giving you guys as much time to think as you might like. With that said, I will go to Frenchie.
All right. So as always, Maria starts off strong with a good synopsis. That's what she does. She opens strong with that. Although the question was about franchise, and she had a very lackluster explanation about the franchise aspect. Whereas Kevin, for me, look, I'll be straight with you, Kevin. You have not mastered the art of arguing. Your argumentation is not the best, but you made good points, and you also talked a lot more about the franchise aspect, which is the question itself. Whereas Maria, especially her argumentation about like the numbers, how much it made, that for me just means they have a better marketing team behind it, and they have more budget on marketing. It does not really validate the points, although you explain it very well. And Kevin, again, your explanations are left and right, but you made better points, so I will go with Kevin.
All righty, we'll go to a third judge again this time. Nick, what you got?
Yeah, this was a tough one. they just kind of going back and forth. It's very could go either way. For me, I think Maria hit better on the, like, these are supposed to be horror movies. So it's a horror franchise, and as a horror, it's supposed to be scary. So, for that reason, I ultimately think that she kind of wins out a little, edges out Kevin just a little bit. Not by much, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Alrighty. Judges, thank you once again for being here. You guys are all wonderful. And your winner, Maria Hammon.
Wow! Yay, me! No, I think it's great to win. I mean, I don't win very many of them, and I like this. It's a good feeling. But I mean, Kevin, he's a good guy, so I hate anybody to lose. I wish everybody could win. You know what I'm saying? Probably touch base trophies or something. You know, they give them to little kids now. Can't we all have a star? So.
Yep. So this puts you at 1-1 in an interesting position. If you can pick up a second win, you will possibly be in contention for the tournament. So how do you feel about that?
I feel nervous and scared. No, I mean, if I know the subject matter, I can talk the ears off a chicken, I was told once when I was a kid, so I don't know what that meant, but it sounds pretty exciting. And so maybe it's my niche. I don't know, but I'd be willing to try. Appreciate that idea. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to hear it, and we will be excited to see it. Anything else in closing?
No, I appreciate Kevin. I did manage to talk over him a lot. I'm sorry about that in a way. But I mean, he's got to fight back. So there you go. Anyway, I've said enough. Thank you.
You did good. I had to pull you back once, but that's okay. We've all
I know.
been
I'm sorry about that because it's like, it's like he's on the ropes and Maria's still going at it. Stop. I get it. So thank you very much. I had a good time. I hope that he had a good time, even though the loss is always not fun to bear. So thank you for playing, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Maria. We will drop you to the back. And then we will go to Kevin. Didn't come out your way, but you got a good point, and I think you were in all those questions, so excited. How are you feeling?
Fine. I'm used to being in this circle. It's pretty much like an episode of SpongeBob where, like, wait, we're plankton, Mr. Krabs has plankton, and like, wait, I got this. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty much like, okay, like, I know I'm lost it. That's it. Back here again.
I spent a lot of time there before I got my first W, so don't worry about it. Your record was better than mine for a long time, so don't. It's all good, Ski. Do you think you'll like to be back in that August or whenever? It's a secret.
I'm so having fun with this. It's so fun. Like my record's enough where I'm like, yeah, I'm never being like in a tournament or get a talent show. I'm like, nope, I'm just fine. I'm fine with just being the jobber here.
Fuck yeah, man. That's how organizations work. Jay is protesting. I gotta bring him in.
No, you will not. I will make sure that you are in a fucking tournament. You and me, we're gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna help you with these debate skills. You're 1-7 right now. By the time I'm done, you'll be 17-7. Let's go.
Oh shit! That sounds like an offer you cannot refuse. All right, shenanigans aside, before Aaron kills me on this one, I would take up that offer. Jay is a great guy and a great trainer, so he got wins out of me, so. Like in he helped me out. He's part of my team that helped me improve. So, anything else you got to add?
I probably had too much fun saying the curses allow you to all that because I could easily pull because that's my accent saying it.
Fuck yeah, that's a good way to go out. Alrighty. Once again, I will drop you to the back here. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Aaron, for letting me host this one. I hope it wasn't too much of a poop show. And everyone, have a fantastic whatever time it is when you're watching this. Bye.